So these Paramanus, since we have little less time, we will not go into the details of all the things. These 4 Paramanus, they combine and recombine. First of all, 2 Paramanus should combine, then 3 such pairs should combine. That is the law. That is how they say. Initially, 2 only should combine. There is no logic to say that 3 should combine. So that is called as Dvanuka. And that 3 such Dvanukas should come together, then they will form one Tranuka. And after Tranuka, no rule is mentioned, not necessary. Any number of particles, Paramanus can come, and as per the necessity, the things will be created. And that is how this world is created. The visible world is created in this way. Now, these things which are like these Paramanus or this earth, water, fire, air, they are called material or substances. But these are not the only 4 substances. Next one is Akasha. What is the nature of Akasha? It is Vibhu in nature. Since we have derived the Vibhu, we will directly use the word Vibhu. Akasha is the material or substance, but it is not Paramanu in nature or combination of Paramanu. It is Vibhu in nature. And why do you accept Akasha? Because this sound is a quality. Sound is not a material or substance. It is a quality. And that quality is not of earth, nor of water, nor of fire, nor of air. But quality has to rest in some substance. Without substance, no quality stays. No action stays in any independently. It has to stay in some substance. And this sound being such a property which doesn't stay in these 4, that's why we have to accept Akash as a principle of which this sound is a quality. Now we have direction. I am sitting here, I have this east and west and this direction. So direction must be there. When we tell, when we ask someone go to the east, go to the north, go to the right, or this and that, and he goes. So naturally there is some south direction, north direction, east direction. If there is no such direction, will you move? He will not move. So direction is there. We have to accept the existence of direction. But there are 2 persons standing maybe 10 feet apart. For one person, the first person is in the east and second person is in the west. Now, for the first person, that 10 feet distance is in the west, towards the west. And for the second person, the same distance is in the east. Now the difficulty is that distance actually in the east or in the west? If those two people disappear, what will happen to the direction? So naturally, the east and west and etc. are divisions relative to the people. If we take that relativeness away, we cannot say that directions will disappear. The principle will be there, and that principle is called as Dik or Disha or space, one may say. Dik, Disha. Translation as space doesn't sound so well. It should be translated as direction, but most of the people find translating as space. Space means empty availability, that is space. So space is not Disha. Disha is direction, but direction is not again particle or it is nor a Parmanu nor a concrete. It is Vibhu, because only 2 stages are possible, either Parmanu or Vibhu. No other material or no other substance can be conceived now. That is fixed, not possible. And that's how one has to, when some substance is proposed, it should be either a particle in nature or Vibhu in nature. No third position possible. By this particular logic, if somebody wants to say that there is some other intermediary stage, then they have to come with some logic and counter. So there are people, but now for this system, this is the position. Now, so we accept Akasha, we accept Disha. We have to accept time, because this moment, that moment, yesterday, tomorrow, we had that class yesterday. Was yesterday there? Yes, it was there. So time was there. If there is no time, then you cannot say yesterday and tomorrow, and naturally time as something is there. If it is not at all there, the words yesterday, tomorrow, this time, that time, etc. will not carry any meaning, and uh, no meaning from the sentence will be coming out. You please come to me tomorrow. But the word, if tomorrow has no meaning, then the person will not have the meaning from the sentence. But nonetheless, there is meaning. So naturally, there is something tomorrow. So there is something called time. What is the nature of time? It is substance in nature, but it is not Parmanu nor concrete. It is Vibhu in nature. That is the derivation of Vaisheshika system. Then we come across, we have gone Akasha, Kala, Dik. Then we come across Paramatma, which already derived. Paramatma is one. But what about this Jiva? Jiva is also almost of the nature of Paramatma, with some changes. What is the change? Paramatma doesn't know a thing anew, because it doesn't have to know, it knows everything, and it has no instruments also to know the things anew. It knows everything. So Paramatma is Sarvagya. Whereas Jiva, though Vibhu, but not Sarvagya. As it comes across the things, it comes to know. So it is not Sarvagya, it is Alpagya, knows little. And knowledge is also transient, momentary. One moment knowledge is there, another moment goes down. So momentary knowledge is there, that is the Nyaya system. And every Jiva is separate from other Jiva. So there is multiplicity of Jivas. So it is Vibhu in nature, many, and it is its knowledge is transient, not permanent knowledge. God has permanent knowledge, Jiva has transient knowledge. And it has less power, Alpa Shaktiman, not much power. God has the power to create, but the Jiva cannot create the world. So this is how the Jiva differs. But Jiva is Vibhu in nature, that is to be first of all accepted. It is not Parmanu, because in Indian systems, some system propose Jiva to be Paramanu. Some Vedanta systems are there. We have to come across them. So Jiva as Parmanu, only two possibilities are there. Either it can be Parmanu or it can be Vibhu. No other possibility. And that's how some propose as Parmanu, some propose as Vibhu. So Nyaya Vaisheshika system proposes it to be Vibhu and many Jivas in number. So likewise, Atma. So because we are counting the dravyas or the substances proposed by the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. Actually, this is proposed by Vaisheshika system and accepted by Nyaya system. Nyaya system did not propose these things originally. They accepted from Nyaya, Vaisheshika, sorry. So the substances are earth, water, fire, air, sky, time, direction, and Atma. Atma are two types, Paramatma and Jivatma. Jivatma many except. And last one is Mana. There is mind. Why mind is accepted? Our sense organs come in contact with the external objects, and the signal which they receive is carried to some unified source, unified principle. Now, if the sense organs are directly connected to that source or that Jivatma directly, why source now Jivatma? If the sense organs are directly connected to Jivatma, it will come to know all the things all the time. Every time 4 or 5 doesn't happen. So every organ gets connected to the Jivatma one after another, and there is one connector. It connects eye with the Jivatma, so you get to see. It gives up the contact with eye. It connects the skin with the, or the organ of touch with the Atma. So you should, so likewise that mind connects the five. It's like in this thing, uh, previously the lights in the Deepavali, etc., etc. Oh, there used to be one rotor on which the uh, plates plates with electric current were placed, and one such stylus sort of thing was placed, and that rotor used to move, and the stylus used to touch every plate, and that's how one current to one lamp. Likewise, that was done, and that's how those lights used to give some effect. Nowadays, it is all are electronic switches, so that is not seen now. Likewise, this particular thing is connector. There are five organs coming in, one person to be connected. But if all five get connected, then what to know will be a difficulty. So there is one connector here, which connects these five organs to the Atma, Jivatma. And this connector is mind. What will be the nature of mind? That mind is of the nature of Parmanu, because no other state is possible, according to Nyaya Vaisheshika system. So these are the 9 dravyas or substances accepted by Vaisheshika system, and proposed by Vaisheshika system and accepted by Nyaya system. Then they come to gunas. There are 24 gunas, and those gunas, qualities or characteristics or attributes, they stay on, or they reside, or they have the substratum as these, some of these dravyas only, the substances. Everything else has to stay into the substances, the dravyas. Nothing stays independent of dravyas. So dravya is the substratum or basis of all the other things proposed. So there are 24 attributes or gunas. Karma, then there is karma. Karma is like, I have this hand here, it moves. So hand has a movement. If I take out the hand, movement will not remain there. We cannot say that the fan was moving, now the fan is taken away, but the movement is going on. Not possible. Movement is not possible without the material there. So that movement is called as karma. It is of 5 types: utskepana, apakshepana, akunchana, prasarana, gamana, etc. So those are the details. So, but this is the concept of karma in Nyaya system. Which dravyas will carry the karma? The dravya which can move from one place to another. Which dravya can move from one place to another, or has a scope to move? That which is at one place but not at other place, that only can go. So anything which is having limited size and shape can move from one place to, can be moved from one place to another. And the thing which is having some such limited size and shape is called as murta. As we say murti, this is called murta. So we have 2 types of substances. One is murta, having limited size and shape. It can be parmanu, it can be combination of parmanu. Another thing is vibhu, that is not murta. Murta and vibhu are words opposite to each other. A thing can be murta or thing can be vibhu. So these are the murtas which will have this karma in them. Then one jati or samanya is the 4th padartha. We are counting the padarthas and studying them. 4th padartha proposed by the Vaisheshika system. What is this jati? Jati is like the commonness in all the common things. Like there is one ghata, one pot. If similar pot is kept there, and the example is like there is one pot kept. The person did not know what is it called. He asked someone, "What is this?" The person replied, "It is called pot." Okay, well, then similar object was placed by its side. So that person who didn't know initially, he doesn't go and ask, "What is this again?" He will say, "Oh, this is also a pot. I got to know." So how does he got to know? he knew the first pot, not the second pot. He comes to know the second pot. So naturally there is some unique principle which is in all the pots, and that principle being present in all the pots, he comes to know the new pot, that it is pot. And this principle is potness. The ghata has ghatatva, and this ghatatva is jati or samanya. That is the fourth padartha, or the thing, or the, what, how to say padartha? Padarthas only. So that is the fourth thing Nyaya proposes. Now, this thing is one samanya in all the ghatas. Even if some ghata is created or destroyed, it doesn't get destroyed. So it is eternal. Ghatatva, that potness or jati, is eternal. It is one in all the ghatas. It is not that in these 10 ghatas one jati and another 10 ghatas another jati. No, that is not the case. One jati, so it is one. And it is one jati present in all. So it is present in all is called as aneka anugata, pervading in more. So that is nitya, eka, and aneka anugata. That is the jati. It is para and apara, etc., etc. Then we come across one typical padartha which is accepted by, that is fifth padartha, which is accepted by Vaisheshika system. That is called as Vishesha, and due to this Vishesha only they are called as Vaisheshika. What is that? Now the thing is, one pot is different from another pot. They are different, very clear. Why is there difference? Because the constituent parts from which those are made are different. Now suppose we consider the one pot is made up of two pot sherds, or the kapala, and this pot is made up of two such pot sherds or kapala. Now we will take one ghata and we'll take one pot sherd, one kapala. Is that kapala different from the other part? Yes, it is different. Why? The same logic, because its constituents are different. So since the constituents are different, the concrete or the composite is different. If we go down and down and down, we reach to the level of paramanu, or we'll first of all take dhyanuka there. We will get two dhyanukas. Is this dhyanuka different from this dhyanuka? Yes. Why? Because its constituents are different from these constituents of this. Okay, now we come to two paramanus. Are these two paramanus different? Yes, they are two separate. Why are they different? Now we cannot say that its constituents are different, because they do not have any constituent. Then why do they differ? There must be some reason to make the difference, otherwise they cannot differ. And if they do not differ, they will be one. Not even dhyanuka, they will be one, just over. So there must be something present in each paramanu which separates one paramanu from other paramanu, and that thing is called as Vishesha. It is at that level, not in the general level. To differentiate one ghata from another ghata, no Vishesha necessary. Their constituents are sufficient. Whereas at the level of paramanu, this Vishesha is to be accepted, and that is how this Vishesha being accepted, this system is called as Vaisheshika system of philosophy. This is the reason to name it. Then they propose another padartha, because 7 padarthas are proposed. So out of that, 6th one comes up. It is called samavaya. What is this samavaya? Samavaya is, I have this cloth and the threads are woven. If I start taking out the threads, cloth will not remain. But I have now two entities, cloth and the threads, two entities. If threads are taken out, cloth will not exist. So the threads are in such a position, such a relation, that due to that relation, the cloth exists. And if you take out those threads, the cloth will not exist. Suppose I have two hands. I bring them together. So there is a contact. Now I can take both the hands away, not a single hand will be destroyed, but the contact is destroyed. The things which came into relation did not get destroyed, but the relation itself can be destroyed or created. Whereas in case of the threads and the cloth, what happens? They are in such a relation that if you take out the threads, the cloth is destroyed. And this peculiar relation is called as samavaya. This is a relationship, sambandha, and this is samavaya. And this samavaya is eternal. It's not created. It is not destroyed. Like contact is created and contact is destroyed. But this samavaya is not created and not destroyed. It is nitya. And that is relation. That is samavaya. Then we come to the last padartha, that is abhava, absence. Abhava means, like, suppose somebody goes to some room and says that there is nothing. Nothing means what? I don't know anything. He cannot say that. I don't know, but there is nothing. He has to say that there is no such thing. So by knowing something, he can say that that thing is not there. So there, the knowledge of absence dawns from the knowledge of its counter. If there is no pot, so absence of pot, so there should be counter the pot known to us. Without that, no absence of pot can be posited. This pot will be called as pratiyogi, and there will be the abhava, or the absence of the pot. Now this abhava, whether it is, that is also called as padartha. Generally what we say is padartha means thing which we can touch, take here and there, etc. Those are padarthas. But how can this abhava be padartha? Padartha here means this word padartha is also to be paid attention to. Pada means a word, and its meaning in any form. It may be abstract, it may be concrete, whatever. But if there is a word, and if that word is uttered, and if it has some meaning, then that meaning is padartha. So abhava is a padartha, because if you ask someone, go to that room, see if there is that pot. He says, no, there is no pot. There is absence of the pot. When he says that there is absence of the pot, abhava of the pot, from that sentence, do I come to know something? Absence word is there, and from that absence, I come to know the absence, not the word, the meaning. Since I come to know the absence from that word absence, naturally absence as a padartha. Absence is a pada, and the thing which I understand is a artha. That's why abhava is also a padartha. And abhava is of 4 types. Pragabhava, pradhvansabhava, atyantabhava, and anyanyabhava. So those are, that is going into details, we will not go to it. So these are the 7 padarthas. Vaisheshikas say that in this world, whatever exists has to be booked into these 7 padarthas. Nothing more than that. They objectively analyze the things of the world and present. This is the thing. Only 7 categories of padarthas possible, nothing more than that. Everything can be included into. So if somebody proposes something, they will try to include somewhere in the substance, guna, karma, samanya, samavaya, vishesha, and abhava. Generally, samanya, vishesha, samavaya are the system propositions. I mean, other systems may not accept, because it is the derivation of the system, whereas dravya, guna, karma, the substances, the gunas, the attributes, and the karma, those are all have to accept. So about that, no much issue. Only classification will be bit issue. Number may cause some issue, but those are there in the world. So those are not what you say, the system deductions. Samanya, Vishesha, and Samavaya are system deductions. Others reject it. Many of the systems reject those things. So this Dravya Guna Karma are very important. So these are the 7 padarthas proposed by Vaisheshikas, and those are proposed by the Muni called Kanada. and the book he wrote is Kanada Sutra or Vaisheshika Sutra. 370 sutras are there, and each there are 10 chapters, and each chapter having two parts into it. There was one Ravana Bhashya on it, but that is not available, and who that Ravana was also not known. Then the time of Kanada is not known, but it is second BC or somewhere century. Very difficult. We do not exactly know their time, so people propose anything. So as per most of the books, second century BC. Even Gautama also second century BC. Even Patanjali 500 BC. Somehow at random that is proposed. No basis for that, or some basis like since some thoughts are seen from that particular system into this, and thoughts of this system are found in the later books, not in the previous books. So from such textual analysis, some dating is done, but other way of dating is not available. Then came Prashasta Pada. He wrote one Padartha Dharma Sangra as a book, because introduction to system means introduction to the people and the authors and books and the things they propose. So we have studied what they proposed. Now we have reversed this time. We came to those who proposed and what they wrote, and which books they wrote and what subject they wrote. So we went to the subject. Now we come to the books and we come to the people who wrote it. Then there is Vyoma Shivacharya. He wrote Vyomavati. Udayanacharya wrote Kiranavali. Sridhara wrote Nyaya Kandali, etc. Those are the books of Vaisheshika system. Vaisheshika system says why they come into play just for this physics. This is called as these are Padartha Vigyan. So because all they analyze the world objectively. So this is Padartha Vigyan, or Bhautika Shastra, it can be said, Indian Bhautik Shastra. And they proposed these things at this level of logic some 2000, 3000 years back. It is not today. Even gravity was proposed. We did not go to gravity and all such things because we have no time. So those are the things they proposed. We went for that deduction of the Paramanu and Vibhu, but somehow that was not recorded, it seems, isn't it? I wanted that to be recorded because I wanted to present at various places, but I got it missed. All right. Well, so the thing is, this Jiva is in the trap. The trap is bandha. Jiva in its original nature cannot be in the bondage, in the trap. It can be free of the trap. Somehow it assumes itself, though its nature is that Vibhu which we have derived. Even then, somehow it assumes itself to be this body-mind complex. And this assumption is called as mithya jnana. And due to that, the problem occurs is, since the body or the mind has tendency to get distorted and destruction, so naturally fear dawns that something may destroy it. Then naturally there are things which can protect us. So things which can hurt us, person starts thinking that these are hateful things. He hates them. Things which will protect, he loves them. So this hatred and love comes into existence. These two things together called dosha. This is the fault. Because we have assumed ourselves to be this body, this faulty consideration comes in second stage. The things which are palatable to us, which we want and which we want to put away, which we hate, we have to undertake some activity. This undertaking of the activity is pravritti. The moment some act is done, it has good results and bad results to be enjoyed. Some results to be enjoyed here and some results to be enjoyed later on. These results to be enjoyed later on, they push for next birth. Not just this birth, they go for next birth. And there they give the fruits. That's how we come to birth, taking one body after another. And when there is birth, the fruits come to us, and those are good and bad. So, like, this is the way we enjoy the happiness and sorrow. Now, this is the statement of our analysis of the problem. We assumed, though we are not this body, then even then we assumed ourselves to be the body. This particular analysis is applicable for all the systems, philosophical systems of orthodox system. This one is with little difference here and there. This is the problem statement, and this is crucial and very important. And that is how the solution is proposed. And that's how all the monastic orders or the spiritualities and everything in India solves this problem. It has very wide impact. So the problem is the soul has some divine nature, so to say, some nature, but somehow it's not known how, but somehow it assumes itself to be this body and mind. And that assumption has not begun at some day or some time. It is anadi, beginningless. And since the body is subject to destruction, etc., something is good for it, something is bad for it. And since now I consider myself to be body, so this is good for me and that is bad for me. So something is I have love for something, I hate for something, and then I try to get the things I love, I try to put away the things which I hate, and so I do some action, and actions have visible and invisible results. Invisible results push for next life, rebirth, and that rebirth, when comes, there is enjoyment of those results in the form of happiness and sorrow. And the thing is, the aim of the life is to get rid of this sorrow. Now, how to get rid of the sorrow? If you do not take birth, there won't be any sorrow. If there is birth, sorrow will be there. There cannot be situation only happiness and no sorrow. There will be sorrow. There will be pain. So stop the birth. There is no other solution possible. All other solutions which are putting away the pain and sorrow are temporary in nature. They do not solve the problems once and for all. The solution is for once and for all. That's the original statement of philosophy. So we have to stop the birth. How to stop the birth? If the karma is done, its residual is there, which forces us to take next birth. How can we avoid the next birth? So naturally, we have to take care of the residual effect of karma, or that is called as vipaka in the yoga shastra. If that is removed, then the force or the cause which takes us to next birth is taken care of. That's how next birth will be avoided. This life has to end. Next life should not begin. So that is the case. Now, if we keep doing the actions, it will have visible and invisible results. So we have to stop the actions. Without stopping of the actions, we cannot stop the formation of karma. So, but the actions are stopped only when, if something is neither good for you, you do not love anything, you do not hate anything, you may stop karma. The moment you have love and hate, karma will happen. So to stop the karma, we have to stop the love and hate. But love and hate is there because I consider myself to be a body, and obviously, naturally, there are some good things which are favorable to the body and some are detrimental. And raga dvesha, this love and hate, has to come in. So I have to know that I am not this body. The moment I will come to know that I am not this body, so whatever happens to the body, I am not bothered. The person who knows that, like suppose I have this book at hand, I know I am not that book, and if that is not mine, it is not of any use to me, I am not concerned whether that book stays or gets burned or whatever happens to it. Like there are many stones outside, are we concerned? No way, we are not concerned at all. No love, no hate, no action, no reaction, nothing. Likewise, if I have nothing to do with this body, I am away from the body, so we will not go for love and hate, and naturally the cycle will end, the next steps will end. So the first job to be done is know yourself. You now have considered yourself to be that thing which you are not. I am this body. You are not the body. This is mistaken. This is a mistake. Mistake. That word should be like to be read in this way. This is a mistake. Now this mistake is to be corrected. Now this mistake to be corrected, like, then who am I? Because today I thought myself to be this body. Tomorrow I may think myself to be that body. I may think myself to be something like that. So I should exactly know what I am not and what I am. Just knowing what I am is not sufficient. What I am not is also important, or what I am not is very important. Once I come to know that I am not anything of this, the remaining one is myself. And that's why we should know everything of the world. Without knowing everything of the world, we cannot say that I am not that thing. And to know everything of the world, Vaisheshika system proposes all the things of the world are into the 7 categories. That is the main reason for which they brought out this particular system of padarthas. And by this, few things have similar nature and dissimilar nature. So constantly thinking of the similarities and dissimilarities, we can ascertain our real nature and get rid of this mistaken conception and the attraction towards that. It is not, now suppose I tell you that I am not this body, I am this Vibhu, Atma, etc., etc. That is not sufficient to sever the connection. There is something more necessary, something more to be done. For that, spiritual practices are necessary, and spiritual practices are prescribed by yoga system. They themselves do not propose much of it. Little bit is proposed, but Nyaya Vaisheshika system do not propose much of practice system. Practice system is the area left to the yoga system. Philosophical analysis is taken up by Vaisheshikas. It is not philosophical analysis, proposition of the logical proposition of the things of the world. That is proposed by the Vaisheshika system. The way to logically derive is presented by Nyaya system. Nyaya system doesn't propose the 7 padarthas. Nyaya system proposes how to deduce, think rightly. That is the Nyaya system, which is we have to spend some time on it. So Nyaya system is proposed by Gautama. He wrote Nyaya Sutras, and there are 2 Nyayas, Navya Nyaya and Prachina Nyaya. Prachina Nyaya started with Gautama, and in the 12th century, some Gangesh Upadhyaya from Mithila, he started Navya Nyaya. So main difference between them is Prachina Nyaya deals with more with the padarthas, the things which we discussed in a different manner. They have 16 padarthas. Whereas the Navya Nyaya concerns itself more with the first padartha, that is pramana. And out of 16, first one is very important for the Nyaya system, whereas all the 16 are discussed nicely by the old system. That is the main difference, and then they differ at some subtle places. But there is Navya Nyaya and Prachina Nyaya system. Prachina Nyaya is easy in writing. Navya Nyaya is very difficult in writing. Very long, complex sentences they have derived, and those are used by various logical systems in India, even Vedanta, Sahitya, Bauddhas and all, and that's how Navya Nyaya became prevalent. We'll not go to the books and all the things there. The things they propose, the padarthas, the 16 padarthas they proposed are Pramana, Prameya, Samshaya, Prayojana, Drishtanta, Siddhanta, Avayava, Tarka, Nirnaya, Vāda, Jalpa, Vitanda, Hetavasa, Chala, Jati, Nigrasthana. These are the things. This, instead of studying them in details, because time we have no time, what they say out of this, the way they have arranged the thing, like some, if to be named, Tarka, Nirnaya, Vāda, Jalpa, Vitanda, Hetvabhasa, chala, jati, nigraha sthana. When we debate, when we discuss or analyze something, how to approach the logic. If somebody makes some statement, where do you find fault in that statement? Because if the statement has some fault, and if you do not analyze, you will take it for granted and you will be misled. So it is necessary for one to analyze the statement and see whether that is correct or not, and then only, if it is correct, go for it. If it is not correct, then reject. So naturally the analysis becomes necessary. It is not fault finding, it is saving oneself from being misled. So naturally they proposed these things. How many faults are possible, or if some person is caught in committing mistake in this, what he says in a logical fashion. So the situation where he is caught and refuted, these are 22 in number. Nigraha sthana, it is called nigraha sthana. You are caught now, you cannot proceed, you have to accept the defeat. So that those are of 22 types. That is the thing. There can be a discussion, like we discuss, you propose, you ask some questions, I answer, I ask some questions, you answer, and then in that way we proceed and we come to some conclusion. That is called as Vāda. But you say something, I just want to refute you. That is my intention. So it becomes jalpa, only refutal. There can be vitanda, there can be chala. Vitanda is actually jalpa is done to come to some conclusion. Vāda is done to come to some conclusion. Jalpa is done to win over others. Vitanda is done just to refute others. Whether I win, whether my subject matter is proved or not, I am not concerned. I just want to refute you. That's all. I don't say anything. That is vitanda. Then there is one chala. Chala is, you said one thing and I interpreted in a very different thing, and you are not left with anything. Like one example is Nava Kambalavan Purusha. That is the sentence given. Nava Kambalavan Purusha. Nava means 9 and Nava means new. That Nava word has two meanings, new and 9. Now, the person who wanted to say that Nava Kambalavan Purusha means the person has a new blanket. Whereas I said, no, it has 9 blankets. He has 9 blankets. So what I say is also not wrong from the standpoint of the statement. Nonetheless, it is not going in the right direction in the intentions of the person. So this particular type of treachery or deceptiveness or confusing someone or misleading someone, this is called as chala. So these are all the possible ways of saying and analyzing, etc., etc. So Nyayikas proposed a debate system. Nyaya means apply the pramanas, the valid systems of methods of knowledge, and understand the thing. Nyaya word itself means apply the pramanas, the valid methods of knowledge, and understand the thing. So the system of understanding the things correctly by employing the valid methods of knowledge. That is Nyaya. So Nyaya word has other connotations also, but generally when we say Nyaya, this is Nyaya. So this Gautama Rishi brought it forward. And the purpose of the system is moksha only. Now, since both the systems propose moksha, we have to know what is their moksha, what way they say. Moksha is, in the liberated stage, that Vibhu will not have dukkha, but it will not have sukha also. Because sukha or dukkha come into play when actions are done. Actions will leave some residual, vipaka, and that vipaka will give some sukha and dukkha. To get moksha, one has to stop the actions. When actions are stopped, no punya or papa will be created, and so no sukha or no dukkha will be there. That is what the system wants to say. So in the liberated stage, the jiva will neither be happy nor be unhappy. Moreover, will it be conscious or not? That remains the question. Will it be conscious or not? Since the body drops off. Body means this gross body and mind. Everything drops off. Mind also drops. It is Parmanu. It doesn't get destroyed, but it is set free. It is not in the combination of body and soul that it is now connects. It is set free. So the soul doesn't have the system through which it could know. To know, it needs a system, but that system is now destroyed. So it will not come to know anything. So it doesn't, when it doesn't come to know, it is dead, so to say, unconscious. Because consciousness means to the faculty to know and know. If there is no knowledge dawning, are you conscious of yourself? There is no such thing, conscious of yourself, etc. there. So the thing proposed in the liberated stage, it is sort of dead, no happiness, and destruction of unhappiness that is proposed. That is why Vaishnavas say that Vaishnavas propose Vrindavan as the Loka and very so much happiness. They say, I would like to be a jackal in the forest of the Vrindavana, but I will not have this moksha proposed by the Nyaya and Vaisheshika. So that the dead moksha or unhappy moksha, which is proposed by Nyaya Vaisheshika system, that is not accepted by other systems. So this is how we sum up Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Our time is up and one system remains, yoga. That much, and they stopped at some place. So their importance is now, if we look at and I will tell one example for this. You know Higgs boson. There was someone Higgs and there was someone Bose. And Higgs boson was the particle that is called God particle. That Mr. Bose, he's a Bengali fellow. Now, I do not know exact reference, but the way they proposed that there should be God particle is the deduction which I presented today. The way to think that there should be some particle which is indivisible, simple particle, it is sheer logical presentation, no mathematics possible there. And that's why this logic to assume that there should be an indivisible particle, that is presented by the this Nyaya Vaisheshika system. And somewhere they must have caught this, and that's how they proposed. I do not know whether they independently came across this logic or they copied from the Nyaya system, but Nyaya system at least 2000 or 3000 years back had this cracking logic with them. So naturally, such a system is very important for analysis and going ahead. So that makes them so much relevant and so much deep in their thoughts. Yeah. Now, what I have presented you is very small part of it. It takes 7 to 8 years to study the full system of Nyaya. So at higher level, they have their own depths. That is so much. Only Nyaya can be studied up to that level. So they are there and they have their own importance, though they do not like propose what we say computers and mobiles to us. So according to them, according to that, we may say that it is not relevant. But like suppose the analysis which I told, that first of all, we are not this body, we are some divine being. However, there is by mistake we have considered ourselves to be this. This thing is stated in a very small sentence. Dukkha janma pravritti dosha mithya jnananam uttarottarapaye tadanantarapayad apavargaha. This is one sutra. Now, in this sentence, they say what I have told, that there is wrong conception about ourselves, then there is love and hatred, and then there is action, and then fruits, and then birth, and then now in absence of this particular thought, where do we stand? What do we do in the world relevant to us? We are taken to the schools. The kids are taken to the schools. By default, we are taught the modern science. By default, we are subject to the medical solutions. By default, we go to jobs, earn money. By default, we have to go to save money and make for future provisions, insurance, etc., etc. All our efforts are directed to solve the problem, present and probable. All our direct efforts are just for that. Not a single thought is presented. Why am I in this world in this way, if at all? Am I only this much in this world, in the wall of between the two walls of birth and death, or am I beyond, before and after? No thought is spent by the present systems which are so relevant to us, and we are hell-bent upon into it, in them. If I am not hell-bent, at least my parents, I will say, my surroundings, I will say, that we should go to those schools and study those things, but they do not utter a single word about whether I exist beyond or not. Whether there is sincere attempt to analyze my existence beyond death or not is a question, because scientists do not bother themselves much about my existence beyond death. There are some psychologists like Dr. Stevenson, etc., etc. In the he died. He was in the Canada University. So some people have tried for it, but since this particular investigation doesn't come into the arena of science, even present day, they have ignored it. So I am subject to accept that I exist between the two walls of birth and death, nothing before and nothing after, and I should spend all my forces on making this life happy. And no thought is spent if I exist beyond death. So in absence of these systems of Nyaya and Vaisheshika and even Vedanta and all, we have to assume this particular system of thought which is not fully evolved yet, the science. That is the difficulty with us. Now, science may be logical, science may be empirical, and maybe short of what you say, proposing all the solutions or all the facts and all the findings. Okay, but by then why should I accept the incomplete system and drive my life? But then why should I subject myself to any illogical, nonsensical dogmas of the religion? Naturally, the question comes. That's why we need a penetrating logic which empowers me to look beyond the dogmas, the nonsense of religion, even of science. Of science, I will say, when I was in studying science, I had to pay fees, or even government paid salary to the teachers and all the things, and I was taught that there are three basic particles in the atom: electron, proton, and neutron. But later on, that is proved wrong. So what I studied is gone to hell. I'm very sorry. I'm very blunt about that. What I was taught is this: there is no further particle. I was not taught that. Later on, I come to know there are subparticles, subatomic particles. I was taught that two oppositely charged bodies attract each other. Very nice. But when I come to know that hydrogen has electron and proton, electron is negatively charged, proton is negatively charged, but those fellows do not combine. They stay away. That electron makes round and round and round. It doesn't take the straight line path or the spiral path to go to the proton and form. So where the law went? But I was taught that law. Now they say that the electrons jump the orbits. They jump orbit 1, orbit 2, orbit 3. And when they jump, they emit the energy. Those are called as photons. And they jump the orbit that in that limit only. No in-between stage possible. Like when we go up the steps, one step, two step, we cannot step in between the steps. There is no facility. Likewise, the electrons cannot step in between the steps. But how? Why? Is that deduction correct? Is that wrong? Now they are proposing that thing. But the things which I was taught, those are undone. Now I have to learn anew. So what I want to say is, I am subject to some incomplete, not nonsensical, but incomplete system. And I have to assume myself to be scientific. And I have to assume that I do not have any existence beyond this life and death. After death, I do not have any further existence because science doesn't propose that thing. And in event of that, if there is life after that, what will happen to me? Who will answer? Any scientist? So I need a logical system to pierce into the science also and the religious dogmas also, because there is not, those are not less in nonsense. There are so many. The earth is flat. Even counter logics are there. Or there is patala in the earth here. Hindu systems, patalas in the earth, 7 patalas, whatever. They speak so many things. Not that Hindu system doesn't have the flat earth like thing. There are so many. And to pierce that thing by logic, I need these logical systems. The things they derived may have some flaws, but I need the power to think. That is provided by them, and I'm really thankful to them. Without that system, I was left to, may not be dogmas, but intellectual dishonesty to accept by which is said by someone. It may be correct, but I could not give myself the what you say conviction that yes, that is correct. It may be correct, it may be wrong, but this logic, when I studied Nyaya system and Vaisheshika system, it gives me at least mental set. At some stage, I may be wrong at logic. The system may be wrong at logic, but that is limitation I have to live with. I cannot overcome. I cannot sit on my shoulders. What can be done? So I have to live with that. But at least I am satisfied that I have spent my energies and I am happy that this much I could do. So that is the importance of system of Nyaya and Vaisheshika.
Higgs and boson, you said correctly that they do follow the same line of analysis, because the papers which CERN published back then completely reflects the system. You said rightly.
Well, thank you for corroborating. I did not know, so I clearly mentioned that I do not know, but I feel that
no, papers published by CERN was in the similar fashion.
So Keshavji has posed 2 questions. What type of moksha or mukti is accepted by Nyaya philosophy? Is it Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti? And second one is Atma is Vibhu, not limited. But we can't feel outside our body. Why?
Jivan Mukti, getting out of the force of rebirth before this body falls off. That is Jivan Mukti. So that is possible. There is no issue. If somebody is in a position to take out all the forces which go for next birth, which make for next birth, and that is actually to be done, so that is possible. There is no difficulty in that. If one cannot do till the end, then how will he do after the end? Because when the body falls off, there is no chance to do it. So one has to do it before the body falls off. It's not that at the point of death, some extraordinary event will happen, some God will come and then he will shower his grace, etc. Nyaya will not propose that thing. Nyaya Vaisheshika doesn't go for that. That some God and some such things. Yes, God is brought in, his bhajana and etc. They tell, but okay, now you have done sufficient. Now rely on God and he will take care of. So don't worry. Like in Gita, it is said, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat. God says that I will liberate them and take them out of the transmigratory existence. But Nyaya and Vaisheshika doesn't propose such a thing. They say you have to act, you have to ensure that you are liberated. So naturally, you have to ensure it before the death. If we are Vibhu, why do we do not experience consciousness. First of all, the question to the system will be answered as per the system. How knowledge dawns. In the Nyaya system, the external objects, they come in contact with the sense organs join to the mind joins to the soul. This connection has to be established, and that mind paramanu, it gets joined to the soul. At that place, the knowledge flashes, point. So the system doesn't say, like when we light a bulb, its light is all over, so to say. Or when I utter a word, it's in all the directions. It is not like no solid angle for the sound, or no unidirectional way. It goes in all the directions. But that knowledge is locational in this system and momentary. So this location being at that place, it will not be all over. That is the thing. And Atma cannot have knowledge without the aid of this mind, etc. system. If we detach the mind, no mind playing, no knowledge possible. That is Nyaya system's answer. Now it may go against other systems, but Nyaya doesn't propose that Atma is self-conscious entity. No, it doesn't say that. Consciousness is not the intrinsic nature of it. Knowledge is the attribute, characteristic, guna. That is where the Vedanta and the Nyaya fight. They say, Nyaya says that, Nyaya Vaisheshika says that knowledge is momentary and it is an attribute or guna, whereas Vedanta says that consciousness is intrinsic. The Atma is consciousness itself. It is Jnana Swarupa, whereas in Vedanta's Nyaya system, it is Jnanavan. It is having the knowledge. It itself is not knowledge. So that is the difference. So the question has some element of assumption that the conscious Atma should feel the existence all over, or knowledge all over, but Vedanta Nyaya system or Vaisheshika system doesn't go that way.
Swamiji, one more question. Actually, there are two interlinked, right? So I would like to ask that you mentioned Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasan, right? So is there any limitation of logic to that thing? Like you said, in Manan we have to dwell into the logic thoroughly, but Yoga Sutra says something different, that Manan is quite what we can say, that inward in nature, and one has to not completely focus on logic per se. Or is it the difference between Nyaya system or Yoga system? Thank you.
Yoga system doesn't put the practice in the words like Shravana, Manan, and Nididhyasan. These are not the words they use. But for Shravana, they say Swadhyaya, Tapa Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So Tapa, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhan. In that Swadhyaya is there. In that Swadhyaya, you should learn the books and study the books. So somewhere this Shravana is there, but the terminology is different. Now study and reflect on the meaning, because it is not just reading. One has to reflect on the meaning and accordingly lead the life and meditate. And what is to be reflected, what yoga says, what is to be reflected, like in the Sampragyata Samadhi, the 4 stages are told. The gross elements know their nature, subtle elements know their nature. So About the gross elements, there is one samadhi. About the subtle elements, there is another samadhi. The organs through which we come to know, think of them. That is another level of deeper level of samadhi. And the organs present that knowledge to the brain, as to say, or buddhi as such. So think of that. So these are four savikalpa or sampragyata samadhis. So reflect, we have to think of those elements correctly. That is the nature, and I am not that. So that is prakriti purusha viveka. I am not that, I am away from that, is to be thought of. And like the jiva is drishi matra, it is consciousness itself. That is how the Yoga Sutra says. And Vibhu also. So the Vedanta's jiva and yoga's jiva in nature differ little bit, because yoga says many jivas, Vedanta says only one. Yoga proposes one Ishvara, Vedanta says no separate Ishvara, jiva and Ishvara one. So there are few differences, but nature wise, one or more, that is different. But nature wise, jiva and Vedanta's jiva and yoga's jiva, they are almost same. And we have to think, reflect logically about the prakriti, the elements of the prakriti, and the purusha. That viveka is there in the yoga system, but the words used are not manana. But somewhere, with few contents here and there, they have to take recourse to manana, and that is why yoga system proposes the logical deduction system, pratyakshanumana agama pramanani. So they propose 3 pramanas, not 6. So they too have to, but they do not go into the details of what their pratyaksha is, what anumana is, what agama is. They say we depend on Sankhyas, whatever Sankhya say, because Sankhya is the theoretical part of yoga, and yoga is the practical part of Sankhya, so to say. So they depend on that. So, but they go for the activity of manana, but not manana by per se or by word. So they need the logic.
Yes, because like about senses, you said there are 5 senses. So I read somewhere in a commentary of Yoga Sutra back that while we are seeing, or we are eating something, or tasting something, we are hearing something, or we are touching, that is sparsh, like sparshing something. So actually, it's not the sense organs that that the activities is going on. It's actually man which is conceiving it. So manan was used there. So I was quite, you know, I was confused about that thing.
Yeah. The purpose of yoga is to tell the purusha that you are not prakriti. Somehow it has assumed itself to be prakriti. So to tell it, the prakriti is described in yoga shastra. Also prakriti is described, taking from Sankhya, and that prakriti, you are not that. So it has to reflect in the samadhi. Before samadhi also, yes, the reflection is there. So manana is more or less with few contents here and there, it's there.
Swamiji,
Yoga is also,
yeah.
pardon, yoga is like, if you see yoga, Vedanta Sara book by Sadananda Yogindra, at the end he says, when it wants to say samadhi, it takes up the Yoga Sutra, and it says that this Ashtanga yoga is actually our practice system. We practice that and we come to samadhi, and in that samadhi, Vedanta has its own alterations little bit, but as we have add-ons. So Vedanta has yoga as practice add-on. So that is there.
Swamiji, the fine line difference between Vitanda and Shal, that's the last.
Yeah, I didn't get what did you say?
You told the types of nigrahas or the not nigraha, I think.
Debate.
So I would like to ask that what is the fine line difference between Vitanda and Chal? Or in hierarchy, what we can keep superior
Vāda,
either of them?
these three are called as Katha. Vāda, Jalpa, and Vitanda are called as Katha. So Vāda is question and counter question, but with the intention to know and come to some conclusion. Jalpa is, I want to win over you. So I will not take my principles to be proved there. I don't want to prove my things there. I can take any route, even for the time being, though I am practicing Vedanta, I can take the route of Buddha philosophy and refute you. You will be refuted. You are wrong in that way. So take any recourse and refute the fellow. And I will say I have won over you. My winning is important. So win is paid attention to. Vitanda is just refutal, not establishment. In Jalpa, you may establish your thing, you may not establish your thing. In Vitanda, you need not establish anything about from your side. You just go on refuting others. Just refute. That much is the thing. In Vāda, you conclude. In Jalpa, you may prove your thing and refute others. You may prove your thing, you may not prove, but refute others. Jalpa is just refutal. Sheer. Bring any logic and refute. You need not give logic from your own system. So very small difference there. Chala is taking one sentence, is intended right meaning also, but interpreting in a different way. And its intention is neither to refute or the intention is not stated. In Chala, doing this thing is Chala. Like in suppose if you want to refute someone else, and if you take his line, do Chala and refute him. So Chala can be part of refutal. Chala can be part of winning. So Chala is not that's why that is not combined into Katha. So Chala is the Chala can be part of Vitanda or can be part of Jalpa, but cannot be part of Vāda, because Vāda is with good intention. So Chala is such a thing.
Swamiji, is it similar to what we call reductio ad absurdum, or like strawman arguments, where we just either take someone's statements to a very absurd reduction and then like disprove it to win over them?
Vitanda is screwing. Vitanda is just screwing over.
Okay.
Like that cockfight which used to happen in Islamic countries.
But it needs very what you say proper training. We have one book which is very difficult and very famous in Vedanta system by a king, Harsha, Sri Harsha. That is Khandan Khanda Khadya. And that Khandan Khanda Khadya is very difficult book. It is almost the final book to be studied in Vedanta system because it is difficult also. And that doesn't prove the Vedanta standpoint anywhere. It just goes on refuting other. Vitanda, the book dedicated for Vitanda and refuting other systems.
Like मुर्गों की लड़ाई कराते हैं type.
Swamiji, now as you said that today not many people do get any training in Nyaya. Like, is it compatible to bring together the training in Nyaya philosophy with how the modern education system works, or is it only possible in the traditional system?
What happened before the modern courts and judiciary? All the courts previously in Indian system, the lawyers and the judges, whatever, the whole system, were deeply rooted into it. They had to, even now, without this Anvikshiki or Nyaya, no study, systematic academic study in the Sanskrit department possible. Even now they study. And this system is now, as we say, Arnav Goswami and so many people, and many people quarreling there. At many times I find a person who wants to object someone else, he objects in such a way that the objection which he raised is proved to you, and you want to refute him. But before that, you have accepted that you are wrong. So many mistakes are happening. But since people are not trained and they keep quarreling, so those debates are in a way most of the times directionless. Correct at sometimes untrained debates mostly. And that is happening in the courts also, because courts also do not have very nice, well carved logical system to argue. It is not there. I have heard from some lawyers and judges that it's not there. They are for interpreting the constitution, they are taking recourse to some Western authors' books, one or two systems, but they do not go to our Mimamsa system, because Mimamsa is also a system of analyzing the text, but they do not go to it. Our Nyaya system is not taught, or very meagerly taught. But if these things, this Nigraha Sthana 22, if that is there, and court should say that with this Nigraha Sthana, this particular argument is, then only you will find that actually law is operating there. The law in the sense, the Nyaya, sheer logic is operating. Otherwise, people are not trained.
Yes, the entire system actually works without, any training in the Nyaya philosophy. And when we read, like I am pursuing law, and when I read judgments, there can be different arguments, there can be different, reasoning of the judgment, and the judgment can be entirely different. So, like the decision can be different, and the judgment can be entirely different. Judgment is the reasoning, and decree is the final decision, the order that okay, so and so will be punished, and that is why we are punishing them. That is why this is being pronounced. So I see that
this Nyaya training is very much necessary, and once some well-trained Nyaya people become lawyers, they will screw the system, because at every sentence they will have 1,000 things to say, and next person will have to go and study and come back and then only argue, otherwise lose the case. So what I feel is, we should have some Gurukula where students trained in Nyaya, they should go to law and then go to courts. Then we have to see what will be the position.
yes,
Very interesting. That will add the depth to the law system.
true. Today the legal system just follows trends, so there is no depth, but it only follows trends, whether it is in the West or whether it is anywhere.
And this depth was there 3,000 years back. I mean, this, you see, for any system to come to this level of depth, it should be undergoing for some hundreds or 1,000 years or so. Then only it comes to that refinement. It is not that some Pandit just sat and wrote a book, such a refined book. Never possible. Even today, it's not possible. Our computers also, whatever they level, they have so many thousands of people have worked, and then only we get to this level. So 3,000 years back, this was the system in place, and all had to debate on the basis of this. So before that, how much they must have done? That is very, very important. But now we are not even up to them. We are much less than them.
True, true. And with time, we are only deteriorating.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think there are any more questions. As a few participants have thanked us, they are saying that the session was very enjoyable today. It was very interesting. So thank you for asking such nice questions, and thank you for the session, Swamiji.